Welcome to Space Age Rabbit, where I dive into forgotten and short lived television shows, and I also count down the top 10 hits from each year as well. And today, I will be looking at some of the forgotten and short lived shows of 1971. My only rule that these shows had to premiere in 1971. So let's get to my list. First up, Getting Together. Getting Together starred teen idol Bobby Sherman as Bobby Conway, a young musician trying to break into the music business while also raising his 12-year-old sister Jennifer. Living alongside them in an antique shop apartment was Bobby's songwriting partner, Lionel Poindexter, played by Wes Stern, the more poetic half of the musical duo. The show actually began as a backdoor pilot on the Partridge Family, where Bobby and Lionel were introduced in the episode A Knight in Shining Armor. Unfortunately, Getting Together had the bad luck of airing opposite the breakout hit All in the Family. And despite Bobby Sherman's popularity, the show never took off. The series was canceled midway through the first season. Getting Together ran for one season, 14 episodes, and aired on ABC on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Hollywood bread, taste is beautiful. Hollywood bread, life is beautiful.
Hollywood Light and Hollywood Dark. Special formula, thinly sliced. 8 great vegetable flours, no shortening. The taste is beautiful.
Hollywood bread, taste is beautiful.
Next up, Cades County. Cades County starred Glenn Ford as Sam Cade, the sheriff of the fictional Madrid County in the American Southwest. Sheriff Cade worked to keep order in a rough and often dangerous region, alongside veteran deputy J.J. Jackson and younger deputies Arlo, Rudy, and Pete. Although the show was set in modern day, many of the show's conflicts felt closer to an old fashioned Western, with Cade and his deputies dealing with rugged outlaws who would have fit comfortably into old frontier era television. Cades County ran for one season, 24 episodes, and aired on CBS on Sunday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Next up, The Chicago Teddy Bears. The Chicago Teddy Bears was a period comedy set in the late 1920s in Chicago and centered around a successful speakeasy run by Link McRae and his uncle Lotzie. The club stayed in business thanks in part to protection from small time gangster Big Nick Marr, who also happened to be part of the family. Nick was Link's cousin and Uncle Lotzie's beloved nephew. While Link could clearly see that Nick was trouble, his uncle refused to believe his nephew could do any wrong. That tension drove much of the comedy, as Nick constantly tried to muscle his way into the business while the terrified employees nervously tried to stay out of his path. The Chicago Teddy Bears ran for one season, 13 episodes, and aired on CBS on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Scott knows a lot about people, and Scott's got the papers to prove it.
Up next, The Jimmy Stewart Show. The Jimmy Stewart Show starred legendary actor Jimmy Stewart as James Howard, an anthology professor teaching at a small college in the fictional Northern California town of East Valley. He and his wife Martha had settled into a quiet, comfortable life with their 8-year-old son Teddy, until their adult son Peter suddenly moved back home after losing his house. Along with Peter came his wife Wendy and their young son Jake, quickly turning the once peaceful household into a crowded, chaotic home filled with 3 generations under one roof. Naturally, all that close living led to plenty of everyday frustrations and family clashes. The Jimmy Stewart Show ran for one season, 24 episodes, and aired on NBC on Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Next, The Good Life. The Good Life starred Larry Hagman and Donna Mills as Albert and Jane Miller, a bored middle-class couple who decide to completely reinvent their lives by taking jobs as a live-in butler and cook for wealthy industrialist Charles Dutton. The problem? Well, neither of them are particularly qualified. And Dutton quickly realizes the Millers aren't exactly polished servants, but he finds them likable enough to keep around. But his stern, snobbish sister Grace, however, she is constantly trying to get them fired. The only person fully aware of the couple's deception is Dutton's teenage son, Nick, who helps coach them through the complicated rules and etiquette of high society. The Good Life ran for one season, 15 episodes, and aired on NBC on Saturday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Save $12 on men's Vacron worsted lightweight suits. Shape 2 and 3 button single breasted models. Robert Hall priced at only $42.95. Alterations included.
Next, O'Hara U.S. Treasury. O'Hara U.S. Treasury starred David Jansen as Treasury Agent Jim O'Hara, a former Nebraska sheriff trying to leave his old life behind after the death of his wife and child led him to cut ties with his past. Because he can be called in by different agencies within the Treasury Department, each episode sends him into a new assignment, often in a completely different environment. Moving from case to case, he tackled smuggling, corruption, and other federal crimes. Although the series earned a Golden Globe nomination for Best Drama, it was still canceled after only one season. O'Hara U.S. Treasury ran for one season, 22 episodes, and aired on CBS on Friday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, before moving to Saturdays at 8 p.m. Next up, Sarge. Sarge starred George Kennedy as Samuel Kavanaugh, a San Diego police detective whose life changes after the death of his wife. Leaving the force behind, Kavanaugh enters the priesthood, but his years as a detective still follow him. Now serving the same troubled neighborhoods as Father Kavanaugh, he uses the instincts he developed as a police officer to help the people in his parish. The series began with a pilot movie titled Sarge, The Badge of the Cross, which also crossed over with Ironside in a special 2-hour event. Sarge ran for one season, 16 episodes, and aired on NBC on Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, before moving to Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. So that's what I have for this video, but there are more short-lived shows from 1971, so make sure to check back for part 2. If you enjoyed this video and like this sort of content, please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.
Hi, mister. My mom sent me to get some curds and whey.
Curds and whey. Look, Miss...
Muppet.
Oh, yes, Muppet. I think you mean cottage cheese. Last week it was a pumpkin for Peter, then a pie for Jack Horner. Now...
Thanks, Mr. Manager.